Good morning, everybody. I'm Andrew Rhodes, and I would like to talk to you guys about the exciting sea cucumber, which you'll see in the background of this picture. So before I go to the next slide, I just want to tell you guys how I built my PowerPoint. So I broke it down like this. To begin, there's a brief overview of the sea cucumber, just basic facts. I got to get the boring stuff out of the way. After that is my intro, then hypothesis. And then following that, I found 4 different articles relating to cancer, and I took their results and summarized them in my PowerPoint. Following that, I ask why is it important, and I'll follow it with a conclusion, references, and questions. So without further ado, here is my brief overview. So obviously their common name is sea cucumber. Scientific name is Holothuridae. They are invertebrates. They are omnivores as well. And their average lifespan is 5 to 10 years, and their size is it varies quite a bit, going from 0.75 of an inch to 6.5 feet, which is crazy to think about. It's longer than everyone in this room. So like starfish and urchins, sea cucumbers are echinoderms. There are over 1,000 known species, and I believe it's around 1,200 living on the sea floor. They feed on tiny particles like algae, minute aquatic animals, or waste materials. And with all that, they actually clean up the bottom of the ocean quite well. They reproduce both asexually and sexually. However, sexually is much more common. Sea cucumbers, when they produce sexually, release both eggs and sperm. However, the eggs are fertilized when the sperm meets the eggs. So here's my introduction. The sea cucumber, which to the uneducated eye is just a useless turd laying on the sea floor. However, after a quick search in Google Scholar, I discovered it is much more than what I previously described this magical creature to be. In fact, it has so many benefits to not only the ocean bottom reef fish, but to humans as well. It has many beneficial properties such as antibacterial or antiviral, to aiding with keeping your immune system functioning properly while on different cancer treatments. It was used in traditional medicine, but in recent years, Western medicine has discovered the benefits and its versatility, including its methods of intake from eating to ingested powder form pills. Now, this slide I actually took from my paragraph that I did towards the beginning of the semester. And since then, I've actually learned a lot more about them and what they can actually do for cancer treatments, which you'll find out later on. So this is my hypothesis. With so many benefits, the sea cucumber could help benefit more people than some traditional medicine. And I'd just like to note, every picture of a sea cucumber you have seen, I've taken in St. John. So this is journal 1. And for all the journals, I put the title of it right under journal 1, journal 2, journal 3, journal 4. So in this study, they used 3 different types of Malaysian sea cucumbers to test their effects on lung carcinoma and cervical cancer cells. They took samples from each species and they called them aqueous and organic. Basically, One was a liquid, one was a solid form of the sea cucumber. And they tested both samples on the carcinoma and cancer cells, which yielded positive results. And in the anti-proliferative effects, they found that one of the aqueous samples worked best on cancer cells. However, they noticed it was more toxic to the cervical over the carcinoma. And anti-proliferative just means the decrease rapidly in numbers. And the organic sample, however, actually had great effects on both, providing it had the most activity. And that's my source on the bottom. Now here's journal 2. Obviously, the title is right under it. So this journal tests the ability of sea cucumbers to inhibit tumor growth. It found that compared to heparin, which is a common blood coagulant, it is much more potent, resulting in a blockage to the tumor. Their findings suggested that FUC-CS might also block tumor metastasis. They then tested that and found that FUC-CS significantly reduced lung metastasis in treated mice compared to saline-treated animals by both methods. That's interesting. So metastasis actually is the development of secondary malignant growths. So jumping back to their findings, found that it might also block tumor metastasis. It's pretty crazy to think about that the sea cucumber can stop secondary growths of tumors and things like that. And the fucosylated chondroitin sulfate is FUCCS, which is a polysaccharide isolated from the sea cucumber. And a polysaccharide is just a carbohydrate. So Journal 3 talks a lot about PE, which is just a new sulfated saponin from the sea cucumber. And PE, it counteracts tumor angiogenesis and induces apoptosis of endothelial cells in vivo. So angiogenesis is basically the growth of new blood vessels, and apoptosis is cell death. So PE actually hinders endothelial cell migration, and it inhibits proliferation of HMECs, HUVECs in tumor cell lines. So this means it stops the spread of those things. And basically, in this study, it was found that PE, a new sulfated saponin, inhibited the growth of blood vessels, the migration of cancer cells, and stopped the tumor cells from growing more blood vessels. All right, here's journal 4, the final journal. So their findings showed that frontside A, and frontside A is just a cucumber compound, anti-apoptotic effects of the novel C cucumber compound, which is frontside A. It induced cell death in human pancreatic cancer cells, and new chemotherapeutic agents are desperately needed for pancreatic cancer because of the poor responsiveness that people have to currently available treatment options. Frontside A has a potent growth inhibitory effect on human pancreatic cancer cells, and the inhibition of proliferation is accompanied by marked cell death. Frontside A may be valuable for treatment or chemoprevention of this devastating disease. So, why is this important? Why is finding new ways important? So, finding new ways to treat cancer that are not harmful to people's bodies is massively important. Western medicine relies heavily on treatments such as chemo, and if it can be replaced by an easily accessible benthic sea creature that can be aquacultured, would have no large impact on treatments and people's overall well-being. So with tumor stopping powers, it is also an antioxidant and beneficial for your body in general, unlike most treatments nowadays. And all of these studies could be translated into other diseases or illnesses as well, even other cancers that are either blood related, and help treat them with almost a cure. Lastly, here's the conclusion. The sea cucumber may look like nothing, but it packs a big punch in terms of human health. They can live up to 5 to 10 years, reach up to 6.5 feet, and are already popular in the aquarium hobby, so they can be aquacultured. Being studied for newly found benefits, they have many different polysaccharides and proteins that aid in fighting cancer, and they would pave a new way for treatments from the sea. And here are my references. Lastly, anybody have any questions? If not, thank you guys very much for listening to my 11-minute and 44-second spiel.